Hey everyone, what's going on? Retire on Dividends here. Well overdue for this update, but today's video, I'm going to talk about Rec Shares, FEPI, and AIPI, or FEPI EPI, I guess we'll call them, okay? So first, we'll cover FEPI. So real quick, what is FEPI? What is EPI? So FEPI is, it's a covered call ETF that invests in tech stocks, right? And then AIPI is pretty much the same thing, except it's AI stocks. Obviously, FEPI's been around since October of 2023, and it's a pretty large fund. It's growing. Fund assets are up to 316.3 mil, and it's fared pretty well. Their latest distribution was done in June. It was declared on June 24th. They declared $1.15. Their next distribution will be declared on July 25th. Typically, I do these updates after the declaration date. However, obviously, I was not able to the end of June 1, so here we are doing early July. So anyway, let's get to it. So what I do is I basically track all this data via spreadsheet. Shocker, I know. So for one, actually the June dividend, what did we say it was? $1.15. That's a 25.15% yield. So if you look here, these are all the distributions from day one, and they paid as low as $1.09 and as high as $1.20. But you'll notice the consistent in column H. Every time they yielded 25%. They didn't go under. They didn't really go above. They did 25 point something, right? 25 point something percent, based on the price of the fund at declaration date. So they've stayed very consistent. And so has the ETF price. The ETF price at inception, or not inception, but on the first declaration, it was 55.05, and the latest declaration, 54.88. So this fund has stayed pretty much capital flat. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down a little. Return of capital, actually, I need to check June. It wasn't working on my computer. But if you want to see how much they are paying or not paying as return of capital, actually, yeah, it's not working here either. So it usually shows when you click the 19A1 notice, it'll give you, the information of how much of the distribution was paid out as return of capital. And it's been 100% from day one. And honestly, I think June is probably still 100%. So I will put that in. In the end, it doesn't really matter because these are estimates that they provide you guys. What matters is the annual statement, which will probably be out, I'm guessing, October for FEPI. So but either way, the fact that they pay out 100% return of capital is great come tax time, especially if you have it in a taxable account. And I guess we can kind of explain how they can do that, as we go through this. So anyway, how has FEPI been performing? So I'm not going to bore you with, scrolling through numbers, but if you can look, I have today, which obviously today is the latest the spreadsheet would update, and that was the close as of July 3rd. FEPI was at $55.74. The launch price of FEPI was $51.69. So that's a capital appreciation of $4.05, or a 7.84% increase. They have paid out $9.31 in distributions, and that yields 18% so far. Total return, though, using both, is $13.36. So if you bought at inception, you'd be up $13.36. Total return, capital plus distributions, you'd be up 25.85%. So again, so far, so good for FEPI. Very, very solid fund. Now, let's check out the holdings. How are they doing? So as you can see, this is just an export from the website, all of their holdings. So basically, who do they hold? Tesla, Salesforce, Adobe, Apple, Amazon, Palo, I hate saying that, Palo Alto, Alphabet, Broadcom, AMD, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, Intel, Netflix, Micron, and then treasuries, and then of course cash, and then everything else you see down here. These are the calls, right? They sell covered calls on the funds that they own. They actually do own the funds outright. Okay, now let's take a look at what the covered calls look like. So over here I have a couple formulas. So you can see like Microsoft, all right, they have a covered call. If you scroll over to the left, right, you can see C480. C480 means that's their strike price. So they have a call for 480. Microsoft price as of today, should be as of today, right? Yeah, price, G19 price. As of today, 467.26. So let's check out the expiration actually. July 19th for, yes, expiration date is July 19th for all of them. Today, as we make this video, it's July 5th. So they have 2 weeks. So let's see where we're at. So they are 2.73% out of the money for Microsoft. Google, 1.55%. Adobe, 2.16%. So, you know, nothing crazy, but at least they're out of the money. And then you see this highlight here. Meta has a call that's in the money by 0.16%. But right below that, Broadcom, they have a call 7.26% out of the money. I'll take it. And then Palo Alto, 5.21% out of the money. Avgo, Broadcom, 7.65% out of the money. Doing great. But then we have Google in the money, Broadcom in the money, Microsoft in the money, Meta in the money. You get the gist. All of these yellows or whatever color this is, they're in the money. And then it gets even worse. Here's a Broadcom 10% in the money. Tesla 20% in the money. Tesla 26% in the money. Tesla 28% in the money. All right, so we talked about return of capital. So what happens, right? These are in the money. So if these expire, right, and they're still in the money, normally the calls get assigned, which means they have to sell the calls. They have to sell the shares at the call strike price, okay? And they would essentially, you know, take a hit. But instead of doing that, they're actually going to keep the shares and pay out the loss, right? They're going to pay it out, right? So they're actually, you know, any movement in the underlying price from inception, obviously they have to reallocate to, you know, keep the funds equally weighted. But for the most part, if you think about it, there's no capital gains, right? They're only, you know, they're collecting the premium, and yes, of course, they're cash settling any losses from the strikes that go in the money. And if the losses exceed the premiums, right, then they could pay out return of capital. And that's great because you don't have to pay taxes on that. I mean, if you're in a retirement account, you probably don't care as much, but I'm not. So I like this strategy. And then the capital appreciation they get from the funds that they're never selling, that just stays in there. That's on paper. However, I'm seeing it, you know, in capital appreciation, and my NAV is not going down. So, you know, my cost basis is actually kind of staying flat, or even better, it's below the current price. So anyway, also I have the average of the total of out of the money, in the money, etc. And it's only, surprisingly, only 2.19% in the money. So that's not terrible. Because again, these, you know, of course you want to win your calls, but Tesla went crazy, so there was no control in that. But overall, it's not terrible. At least it's the average is 2.19% in the money. And you saw the data. You saw how the fund's performing, so can't complain. Net asset value, I think we talked about this, 316 mil. Outstanding shares, 5,675,000. On May 26th, the outstanding shares were 4,250,000. So obviously this fund is growing. NAV 5571. So again, FEPI is a solid performer. I have no complaints. I mean, if you guys have complaints about FEPI, let's hear it. I want to know. Yeah, are the strikes too tight? Maybe, but they got it, you know, again. And then what do? They keep the weighting pretty equal, right? See, 6%. Obviously, Tesla's going to show a higher weighting because Tesla's gone up. So in the end, when they do their reallocation, which is probably monthly, they're going to cut off the top some Tesla and then they'll add some whatever's lacking on the bottom, which is probably Micron or something like that, right? So again, that would be the only time that they would actually sell for a capital appreciation. Again, hopefully that makes sense. If not, I'll try again the next month. But anyway, let's go to the other fund. So who is the other fund? If you go to the top and then you go to ETFs, you can see, come on, does it not work here? ETFs, drop down. Okay, Rex covered call ETFs, and then you go to AIPI or AIPI. FEPI AIPI. All right, so what does it say here? Rex AI, equity premium income, blah, 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 capital appreciation and current income, own AI stocks. So yeah, that's pretty much their strategy. They launched June 4th. They launched last month, almost exactly 1 month away. Again, pretty new fund. They have more holdings though than FEPI and similar expense ratio, 0.65%. Their first distribution though will be July, so they didn't pay anything for the month of June. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's get to the spreadsheet for AIPI. I did make that for you on vacation, by the way, because my son was napping. So I had a little opportunity. I figured, why not? All right, so here's the distribution information. Obviously nothing yet, but that will come. AIPI launched around $50.67. As of July 3rd, we are showing $55.29. So from inception, they are up $4.62 or 9.12%. They have not paid any dividends, so total return is also 9.12% up, which is pretty damn outstanding considering they just launched. Now their holdings, it's a little more work. They have a lot more holdings. I'll try to go through them as fast as I can, okay? Here are their holdings. ARM Holdings, Palantir, NVIDIA, CrowdStrike Holdings, Datadog, Arista Networks, Broadcom, Adobe, Palo Alto, Apple, ServiceNow, Supermicro, Microsoft, Salesforce, Amazon, Cadence, Alphabet, Synopsys, Micron Technology, Meta, IBM, Cisco, Intel, Qualcomm, and AMD. Now, there is obviously some overlap with this and FEPI. I did cover this on my AIPI video, so if you want to see the comparison of the overlap, feel free to watch that video. If I find it, I will pin it to the top of the comments. Now, more importantly, you know, just like they own all those funds here's all their covered calls, a whole crap load of them. So if you guys want to see how those covered calls look, then let's go to the right and let's see what the damage is. So again, in yellow, peach, whatever color you want to call it, those would show what is in the money, okay? And then we would have any in green that are way out of the money. So they're kind of all over the place too. AMD, 6.95% in the money. Salesforce, 5.11% in the money. You see it updating live because the market is actually still open when I'm doing this. By the way, yes, these are all AI companies, which you may or may not have heard of. Look at that, Supermicro Computer, 12.36% out of the money. So that's pretty good. And then, you know, you have companies like ARM Holdings. See, like ARM Holdings, 7.95% in the money. So I think that was one, if you go to the top, like the percent holdings, ARM Holdings is at the top, 10.17%. So obviously that means ARM Holdings has jumped up in price since the last allocation. And then not so much on these other ones, like AMD obviously went down, Qualcomm went down. So, you know, some of these will be out of the money, some of these will be in the money, but you get the gist. It kind of works exactly like FEPI, but with a lot more funds. Their average percent out of the money is negative. I'm sorry, it's in the money actually. It's 1.83% in the money. That's not terrible. So I honestly, I do own this phone. I only bought 5 shares, but still, it's kind of similar to FEPI, but I think it'll be a great performer, if not a better performer, because it has a slightly higher implied volatility, average overall. Again, I covered that in the AIPI video. And I think it'll pay a higher distribution, and I also obviously consider it more diversified than FEPI. But FEPI is hard to sell. I would not sell FEPI. to buy this. If anything, like I said, I'm gonna build up the position. I'll buy 5 shares a pop because it's around like $250. It's not exactly cheap. All right, the net assets of this fund, 11 mil. Outstanding shares, 200,000. So the NAV is around 55.21. So that's kind of like FEPI, right? So there's a lot of similarities. Does it make sense to own both? Maybe, maybe not. That's up to you, right? One is basically just tech. One is like AIPI/tech. So again, some similarities, but Rec Shares, I was hoping they'd come out with a similar fund of FEPI, but like a little more, much different actually. It's not so similar, but I trust Rec Shares will come out with much different options, maybe in different sectors, things like that. But they're going after the implied volatility, which makes sense because they want to pay you a respectable distribution. So, FEPI pays 25%. I think AIPI is going to be above that, right? It's going to be probably anywhere from 26 to 30%. That's just my opinion, but who knows? We'll see when they announce their first distribution. All right, so anyway, that is the update for FEPI and AIPI. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember, I guess I'll say it again, to punch the like button, all right? Punch it in the face or the thumb, whatever makes it work. But yeah, no, for real, it does help the channel when you do hit the like button. If you do like monthly updates on FEPI and EPI or FEPI and AIPI, then please let me know via the comments and I will make sure to do that. Again, I want to do that. I do like this fund. I think it's underappreciated in this space. So I will cover it the best I can and, as frequent as I can. So, but let me know in the comments what you guys think of these funds. Let me know if you want once a month coverage, and then we'll go from there. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you were entertained. If not, I'll try again next month and we'll go from there. But yeah, that's all. That's pretty much all I got for these funds. Again, they're great performers. Nothing bad to really say about them. I like the strategy and I hope Rec Shares comes out with more like this. Again, I personally strive for 40% average distribution yield overall in my portfolio. So 25% is less. However, I do appreciate capital flat or even capital appreciation with the 25%, right? You don't get that as comfortably in these other funds. So this is what these kind of offer, all right? Not to mention the tax benefits. Again, not tax advice, but you get the gist, right? Return of capital is pretty useful in this world, in this industry, in this sector, whatever the hell you want to say. All right, that's enough yapping. I'm going to get back inside, see what's going on. But again, I wanted to squeeze this out for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and thank you for watching. I will talk to you later.